Hi, I'm Brian Russell, and I'm the author of Centering Prayer. Sitting quietly in God's presence can change your life. And writing this book has been one of the best experiences of my entire life, and I'm so grateful that Paraclete Press has made it available to you now. And I want to tell you just a little bit about the book. Just to give you some of my background, I've been a lifelong Christian. I'm an ordained pastor, and I currently serve as a professor of biblical studies at a leading Protestant seminary. But the way I grew up in the church, I was completely unaware of contemplative practices like centering prayer or the prayer of silence. And I found the prayer of silence at an absolutely critical time in my own life, and that serves as the backdrop for my book. Back in 2010, I found myself suddenly single after a 20-year marriage, and I was absolutely devastated, and it felt like an arrow had just hit me right in my heart, and my soul was just fried. And all of the practices that I'd had as a Christian up to that point, I didn't feel anything. But it was at that moment that I discovered the power of sitting quietly in God's presence. I found the silence, or better yet, the silence found me. And as I embraced sitting in silence, God encountered me with levels of love that up till that point in my Christian life, I didn't even know were possible. And so I wrote this book I started writing it in 2018, 8 years after I'd gone through this dark night of the soul, as a way really just to reflect back on what God had done for me. And in essence, the book came out of my own journaling about it. And what I did is I tried to create a book that would really serve you. We all right now live in an age of anxiety and uncertainty. And I know for certain that sitting in silence with God is the antidote that we need now in our age to build spiritual muscles that most of us don't even know are possible. I know in the silence, I've experienced deeper levels of love for God and for neighbor and even for myself, and that God has healed me of deep wounds, of trauma, of fear, of guilt, and even shame. And so I've created a tool. It's part memoir. I put a little bit of my own journey in there because I want you to know some of the roadblocks to actually having a consistent centering prayer practice. I didn't have a mentor. I just kind of figured it out on my own by reading, and I've put everything that I learned that I wish I would have known when I started into the book. And there's things here, whether you're a beginner or even an advanced practitioner, I think you're going to find helpful things. I bring in some biblical resources, historical resources, theological resources, but this is not an academic book at all. I wrote it for everybody. It'd be a real privilege if I could serve you through this book. Thanks again for taking a look at it. But remember, if you sit silently or sit quietly with God, it might just change your life. I'm here to testify that it changed mine, and I'm grateful.